Hey folks, welcome back. I have your latest home prices and insights for Peel and Durham areas for week ending August the 4th. We are breaking records throughout Peel and Durham. A quick thank you to those of you using the calendar link in the description to reach out to me. It's so convenient. We set this up a few weeks ago, so those of you that want to talk to me anything related about real estate, in the description below you'll find a link to my calendar. Just click on the link, book a time that's convenient for you. This way I know ahead of time when we're going to talk, and I'll make sure my calendar is available, and this way I can talk to you freely about whatever's on your mind real estate wise. While you're here, please take a moment, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button. This way you're reminded when these videos come up. Today I'm talking about Peel and Durham, but I cover all the GTA on different days. I do a video on the city of Toronto, on the cities in York region. I do the luxury market. So hit the bell button, subscribe, and you'll be reminded when these videos come up. I know this time of year, we kind of expect sales to be lower. We expect prices to be lower. Middle of July to the end of August is kind of a lull in real estate. I personally love this time of year. It's so strategic. It's so important that you're really analyzing all the different angles and come up with the proper strategy. I'll give you an example. Some of you right now are thinking that selling in the fall makes sense. So you kind of are on pause, or maybe you're getting your house ready for the fall market. And that's a good strategy. But it might not be for everybody. At this time of the year, we have usually less listings, and depending on your neighborhood, and I'd have to analyze what's going around and what's happening in your community. If you were on the market now, you might be the only game in town. You might be the only listing for miles around, and that would help you to maximize the property. That could be a strategy for your listing. And if you're a buyer, I know what you're thinking. Hey, you know what? There's not a lot of properties on the market right now. Let me just enjoy these last few weeks of summer and come back in the fall. Well, there aren't a lot of buyers out there right now. There's fewer buyers than any other time of the year. So you have sometimes the pick of the crop. Yes, there's less listings, but some of those listings tried to sell a few months ago and it didn't work out. So you could find sellers are a little bit more open-minded to negotiating. You could be in position where the seller's also not seeing so many buyers coming in, and they're open-minded to maybe being a little bit more reasonable on price. And I'm not saying it's the case in every situation, but the opportunities are there if you explore it. This is why I love this time of the year. I know it took a little bit of time to explain that, but man, I'm telling you, strategy matters, and it could make a huge difference if you're buying or you're selling. Let's get into the numbers. I have here Peel and Durham. I'm going to be covering Mississauga, Brampton, and for Durham, I've got Ajax, Pickering, and Whitby together as one area. And when we just look at a summary of average sold price, the burgundy line down here, this is Durham. Average sold price went up. For Brampton, average sold price went way up. And for Mississauga, it came down, but barely came down, just a little bit. So it's kind of the same there. Let's get into it. Okay, so Mississauga, the average sold price was $1,463,000. Now it's come down for a couple weeks in a row. I wouldn't read too much into it. Remember where it's coming down from. It's coming down from record high prices. Nothing to worry about here would be my attitude. Sales have also been coming down. We only sold 45 detached properties in all of Mississauga last week for week ending August the 4th. Can you see sales that low? It's not too often that we see sales that low, and we sold 4 properties at $2 million or more. So they're could be some opportunities, the fact that sales are so low and not a lot of choices out there. And if you're looking to sell, it could be a way to really take advantage of the market. We're still sitting at 15% higher than last year's average sold price at this time. And last year at this time, we sold an extra 2 properties at $2 million or more. We sold 6 last year. We sold only 4 this year. But look at the percentages higher than last year's average sold price. I mean, the writing's on the wall. Mississauga is way ahead of last year's prices. It's costing more to buy in Mississauga this year than last year, that's for sure. Of the 45 that were sold, which is a little bit less than half of what we sold last year at this time, 60% sold at list price or more. Now, it's fairly competitive. If I was to say it's really competitive, I'm thinking of 75% or so, in the 70s. 60, it's competitive. Strategy is important when you're looking to buy or to sell. We listed only 64 detached properties last week in Mississauga, and months of inventory is sitting at 1.1. Came up just a little bit over the previous week, and days on market is now sitting at 11, which it's become a little bit tighter than it was the previous week, where days on market were 13. So, you know, average sold price came down slightly. It's pretty steady. Overall, average sold price in Mississauga has been coming down, but not down. You can barely notice it. It's still sitting at 1.1, a very competitive market. Let's look at Brampton. We sold 90 detached properties in Brampton last week. Now, keep in mind, last week was also the holiday Monday. We had the first week of August, where we have the long weekend. And so the 90 actually is not so far off where we've been over the last month and a half or so. But look at average sold price, $1,284,000. That's a Brampton world record for average sold prices. I previously had a few weeks back, $1,268,000 highlighted in red, because that was previous record. Now, you know, we're just shy of 1.3 million in Brampton. That's a crazy number for Brampton, for the average detached prices. And where other markets are a little bit more steady, or maybe slightly coming down like they are in Mississauga, Brampton is just heating up. The average sold price is getting higher and higher in Brampton. Compared to last year, you know, 27% higher than last year's average sold price. When you look at what it's been over the last 3-4 months, you're seeing numbers like 30%, 27%, 23%. It's no doubt costing you more to buy in Brampton this year than what it was costing last year. Values have gone up. Of the 90 that were sold, 61% sold at list price or more. 104 were listed, and months of inventory is sitting at 0.4. Days on market, 11 is the average days on market. I do want to make a note, days on market. I've mentioned this a few times, but I don't want it to kind of slip past. But, you know, these are artificially higher than really what days on market should be. And the reason I say that is because there's lots of situations where sellers are choosing the strategy of an offer date. So the property goes on the market today, and we're accepting offers in 1 week, in 10 days, some of them in 2 weeks. That artificially brings up the days on market, because if it was just first come, first serve, we're going to take the highest offer that we like, people would be competing on day 1, on day 2, and bringing that price to where it needs to be. But because we have the offer date planned for a week from now or 2 weeks from now, it kind of brings the days. People want to buy today, and the sellers are saying, no, offers are next week. And that brings the days on market up. If it wasn't for offer dates and people holding back offers, this would probably be 1 or 2 or 3 is the average days on market. Let's look at Ajax, Pickering, and Whitby as one area. Sales, we sold 59 detached properties last week. One property was at $2 million or more, and the average sold price is sitting at $1,133,000. Very consistent average sold prices, consistently high, consistently higher than last year's average sold price. 31%. You look back, it's well in the 30s. At some point, we're 40% higher than last year. The Durham market is just going crazy, on fire when it comes to prices. Of the 59 that were sold, 86% sold at list price or more. So when I say 70%, 75%, it's going to feel like almost every property is being sold at list price or more, that you're competing on every property. 86% for sure you're feeling that it's every property. It's very competitive out there. Now, we've had 87 and 89% before, but the fact that there's so many weeks at high 70s or over 80%, that's record sales, record pressure to buy in the Durham area. We listed 70, only 70 last week. Months of inventory sitting at 0.3. It's so hard to get that even lower. Like, how do we go to 0.2 or 0.1 months of inventory? But it's very competitive. Man, strategy is so important, and working with the right realtor is so important. This is not a game for everybody. Not all realtors are the same. Make sure you're using one that's taken advantage of the right strategy, and it's not the same strategy for every situation. And when I look at a summary here, 1.1 months of inventory in Mississauga, Brampton 0.4, Durham 0.3. It's competitive. It's a seller's market. For those of you waiting for price relief, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. A lot has to change between the balance of supply and demand, which is really what months of inventory tells us. It's the relationship between supply and demand, and right now, way more demand than there is supply, keeping prices up and headed higher. That's not just my attitude, but that's what the numbers tell me. My name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Share this video with anybody you feel that would benefit from knowing the real numbers in real estate.